Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube back with another Dark Shadows video for you guys and gals. I'm here to review episode 18, written by Art Wallace, narrated by Alexander Molkias, directed by Leo Swift. This episode picks up right where the last one left off. You saw in the previous episode, you saw Roger going up the steps. Roger continues to go up the steps here in this opening, and as he's going up the steps, you see David Hennessy's David Collins come out from the darkness. He was leaning up against the wall of the staircase, and beneath the staircase, I should say, and he comes out of the darkness. It's very dark, darkly lit. You can't really see him. David Hennessy's David Collins does a better job hiding in this one. Though I do wonder, uh, like in a month, in because David Collins and his dad, Roger, have only been in Collinwood a month. They've only been living there a month. So how many places to hide can David Collins really have within a month? 40-room house. And by the way, he knows. Eventually, we're going to see that David Collins knows how to get to the other one of the house. Um, Eventually, not this episode though. So Roger, where's he going? He's going up to Vicky's room, arm sling and all. His arm is sling in a sling due to the his car going off the road. And um, so what happens when somebody removes your bleeder valve. So Roger goes to Vicky's room. He knocks on the door. He asks Vicky if she's awake. She is now. So she gets out of bed. And she says, "Who is it?" It's Roger. Roger asks her to. He wants to talk to her, and she goes, "I'm not dressed." He goes, "Well, will you please meet me in the drawing room? Meet me downstairs in the drawing room." And that's how this starts. Roger walks away. You see the opening, and Roger is in the drawing room. By the way, this entire episode, and you'll see episodes like this set in one particular place. By place I mean every scene you see takes place in the house. um, the locations in the house are the drawing room, the foyer, uh, the stairs and the landing of the stairs, Victoria's room, the hallway up to the upstairs. Those are the things we see here for for the sets on this episode, but all that's in the house. So in Collinwood. While while Roger is waiting, David, the son of Satan. I mean Roger, comes in the drawing room and he starts talking to his dad. He asks, "Does it hurt?" Now Roger has his back turned here. He doesn't realize David's awake. Uh, when Roger turns, David, you should be in bed. And so they start talking, and you know, Roger says, "Oh, David asked him, does it hurt a little bit?" "Oh, yeah, just my arm hurts." He's meaning more the sling is more discomforting, and Roger's going to remove that anyway. Roger does not have that in. Again, the doctor did say for the sling a day or two. He's going to take his arm out of that sling. His hand is still going to be bandaged, and his forehead is still going to be taped up a bit. Um, Roger act Roger actually scolds David because David makes says about Roger, but, but it wasn't an accident. Somebody did this. Um, and Roger is scolding David because he doesn't like. I don't like little boys listening at keyholes. And again, it's a big house. That's the one thing Dark Shadows does really well too, because you have such a large house. And though there are 40 rooms, and though not every room is in use or every wing of the house is in use, it's still a large enough house where, look, there are only so many people living here. There's Elizabeth, Roger, David, Victoria now. Um, Matthew does not live in the house, he lives in the cottage. So you only have 4 people living in the house currently. Keeping track of one small kid is going to be tasking. Um, so, David is concerned about his dad. And he goes, "Well, all right, David, you saw him, or is there anything else you want?" And I like there's a line too. Roger says to David about, uh, shocked that you're upset because I survived, and David goes to turn away, and Roger goes, "That was cruel of me." I do like the fact that Roger is sort of a This is sort of where, right here a bit, and it's not much, but it's a start. That Roger's going, okay, I don't need to be that hard on this kid. He's just a kid. He's just a kid. He's just a kid. And you see that here in this episode a bit. Now that comes back around because they're having a disagreement. David Hennessy's David Collins just wants to find out what's going on. Doesn't he have the right to know? And Roger goes, "Look, I just want you to get to bed." And David, he's frustrated with this whole thing. So he goes, "I wish you'd." And Roger stands up, and David Hennessy's David Collins runs off. Um, Roger is going to stay downstairs here for the majority of it. For he's more downstairs than he is upstairs in this entire episode. He's upstairs twice, and that's it. And I'll get into why he goes back upstairs now. Vicky is brushing her hair. She's not getting dressed. She's wearing a robe, a nighttime robe. So she's not dressed, but this girl is brushing her hair. Hot date? No. David knocks on the door. You know, and Vicky opens it. It's David, obviously, and so she tells David, "I have to go downstairs and meet your dad." She's not meaning to rush David out of the room, but she does have to go downstairs and talk and meet with David's dad. And David goes, "What are you going to tell my father?" "The truth." Or, which is not much, and she's what she's saying, what Vicky is in a sense saying is, I can't tell. What she's telling David is, I can't tell your dad, though she doesn't say this, in a sense, that's what she's saying. I can't tell your dad whether Burke did this to him or not because I didn't exactly see Burke do anything. And that's true, she didn't. She saw Burke throw the wrench on the tool shed, um, on the tool bench, but that was, and she heard something slam, but that's it. She didn't see Burke's hands, and that's David. David is basically trying to find out what Vicky knows more so than as much as Rogers, because what David knows, he's the one who removed the bleeder valve. And this is what I mean by paranoia in characters. Roger and David are both very paranoid. David is so paranoid that he forgets that there was no one around. There was no one in the garage with him when he removed the bleeder valve. That nobody saw him. So she wants. He also asks Vicky what should be done if if anybody finds um, what will the police do if you go to the police? Whatever policemen do, because Vicky's never really had any involvement to the police. The police will just probably investigate it, but and I don't know why Vicky just doesn't say that. She just says whatever police do. But it lets you know that Vicky's encounter of the law has been has been none at all, none. This woman hasn't even jaywalked. Um, that's saying something. But David, he does a good job of trying to fish, but without letting Vicky know he's fishing for what her information. And again, she's honest with him. She says, I can't really tell your dad anything, and keep in mind, I said Victoria is wearing a nighttime robe. When she finally goes downstairs, you hear Roger yelling at Vicky about, I'm not worried about Dave right now. Here's the thing. When Vicky goes downstairs, come here, I want to tell you something. She's still wearing that robe. She didn't get dressed. She was so busy talking to David and trying to convince David, because David kept saying it wasn't my. The reason I wanted to sort of go to the next scene, but explain David here a little further. David kept saying uh, that, or sorry, David kept saying, I'm sorry," and Vicky tells him, "You have nothing to be sorry for. You have no reason to apologize." You know, Vicky just writes us off that David is feeling bad for the things he said about his dad prior to the accident, and then that because and Vicky's viewing this as because David said those things, he's blaming himself for Roger's accident. And that's something Vicky is trying to, in a sense, tell Roger, but Roger doesn't want to hear one bit of that. He's more of what Vicky saw. He shows Vicky the drawing. He also explains to Vicky that the bleeder valve was removed, that it wasn't removed a couple of days ago. It was work. His brakes were working just fine. He also, you know, he's also asking her questions like, "What did she see?" Because what Roger knows is that Vicky saw Burke, or around or near Roger's car. So Vicky once again explains herself that, and basically she says the same thing that she said to Liz, that she was going out to the garage to get timetables, and she saw Burke Devlin standing by Roger's car. She said prior to this, though, she heard a sound like something closing, maybe a car door, and Roger infers, or or a hood, or car hood. What Roger's trying to insinuate here is Burke removed it, obviously. But Vicky says, and when Vicky hears Roger say, "Yeah, maybe I could see your point," because again, Vicky only heard something slam. She didn't see what went shut. Um, so she also asked Roger, "Do you need a special tool?" And he said, "Yeah, a wrench or you know, screwdriver." And Vicky explains that Roger had a tool in his hand that could have removed it, and he tossed it on the bench. And Roger says, "Well, that's probably where he got it from." Roger asks Vicky if Burke's hands were dirty, and Vicky tells the truth. "I really didn't pay attention. I didn't notice." Roger gets up and gets on the phone, and Vicky's like, "Are you calling police now?" "I'm calling Burke Devlin's hotel room." He finds out Devlin's not there. He goes, "I want you to go upstairs and get dressed. We're going down. We're going to Devlin's hotel room." And she goes, "Oh, Mr. Collins, you know." And Vicky, prior to the, like when she came in, she goes, "If there's anything I could do, you know." And he goes, you said if there was anything you could do, you would do it. This is what you can do. You come with me. You wait in the lobby." He goes, "I'll go up to Burke's room when, you know, and I'll only call you up if I need you. No, but go up and get dressed." Um, this is, by the way, this is not Vicky's last interaction with David Hennessy's David Collins in this episode. Um, Again, you know, she's getting dressed. David is talking to her some more, in David's room, actually, after she gets dressed, and because she opens the door and he's getting ready to knock on the door, and he goes into the um, he runs away and goes into his room. Vicky follows him. He goes, "Coming to give me another present." And she goes, "David, I don't want to lock my door every time I have to leave here." He goes, "Lock your door or don't. I don't care." She goes, "But I do. David, aren't we friends anymore?" And she goes, and David is just, he's a very conflicted kid. And you can tell that in these episodes. You can tell, though he feels sorry for what he did, he doesn't want to get in trouble for what he did, which is just crazy. Um, I really love the scenes between David Hennessy and Alexander because it's a telling of how paranoia can make you hear what you want to hear, but also paranoia also makes you realize you're not getting the answers you really want, especially when you're a kid. And David's own paranoia is sort of playing on him heavy in this episode, even more so because, you know, Vicky tells him, "I didn't see who did it." You know, she keeps telling David, "Hey, I gotta go with your dad." We see Roger Collins come. You know, he's upstairs. He's standing right there outside David's room. He tells David to go to bed, young man. Vicky and Roger end up leaving, and you know that's the end of the episode. Vicky, you can tell she doesn't really want to go. Number one, two, she'd rather talk to David because she feels that David is a lot more troubled by the events that had happened. And again, it's something that Vicky did try to tell Roger. Roger did not want to hear one bit of his son. Um, Again, you have, for the biggest part with Roger, you have a parent who did not want to be a parent. Um, my favorite scene in this episode, actually, as as Roger's going to knock on a door, you see Vicky's window, or the shutter of the window slamming. Um, Very, very good. That's my favorite scene because it's just a neat trick they pull. But again, the interactions are all good. It's a fun episode to go watch. Go watch Dark Shadows episode 18, guys, and I'll see you later.